Hi, and thank you for joining us for this Skylope tutorial. Skylope is the online transaction management system of choice for RE/MAX Fine Properties. It is an internet-based system, so simply open the browser of choice, and in the address bar type in www.skyslope.com. That will bring you to the window that you're seeing. Simply click Log In to access the system. At this point, you may want to bookmark or create a desktop icon for this screen for ease of access in the future. Each of us has been provided with an email address and password to log into Skylope. If you don't know yours, please feel free to contact a staff member. We'll be happy to give it to you. Simply type in your email address and your password and click Log In. At that point, the first time you log in, you will be taken to your personal profile to set up basic information for yourself. The first screen is your personal information. Skylope convention is that anything in red is a required field. Anything in black is optional. You may enter it at your convenience. Once you've entered the personal information you choose, you can click Submit to save it. I do want to point out this Allow TC Access field. If you have an assistant or work with a transaction coordinator, you do want to make sure there's a check in this box. This will allow your transaction coordinator or assistant to access your files and upload documents for you in the future. Once again, once you're finished with this particular page, click Submit to save your changes. Then click Next to move to the next tab, which is a notification tab. On the dashboard, which is the main screen of Skylope, you do have the option to be notified in advance of when a listing might expire or a transaction might close. This screen allows you to identify how far in advance you'd like to be notified. So simply type in the number of days that you'd prefer and click Submit. You can click Next, and the next tab identifies the signature that will appear in any emails that you send from Skylope. If you use a standard email program like Outlook or Gmail, you can certainly copy and paste your email signature from that email program. However, we do advise that if you have any photos or JPEGs in your signature box, that you do not include those. Click Submit to save your changes. Then click Next, which will take you to the Change Password tab. Your password will not expire in Skylope. However, as with any other internet program, we do suggest that you periodically change your password for security reasons. We're going to skip the Dashboard tab for just a moment and go to our main dashboard screen, which you can also always get to by clicking Home on the top right corner. On the right-hand side, you have a statistics box. In your profile, this dashboard tab allows you to identify what will appear in that statistics box. It'll show you how many transactions are going to be closed within a certain period of time. If you want expired listings to appear, documents that need to be assigned, etc. You can set those in your profile, and those fields and timelines will appear in this statistics box. The main portion of your dashboard consists of 10 large buttons. We're going to go through these buttons one by one so that you can identify what happens whenever you choose one of them. And we're going to proceed as if we just got a new listing, and we're going to manage that listing through getting an accepted contract and creating a closing. So let's go ahead and create our listing. When you click the Create Listing button, you're brought to a screen that's very similar to the old paper or fillable worksheet form. It's simply an online version that you can fill in the correct information for. The MLS number is not a required field. However, if you've already entered your listing into MLS, we'd really appreciate your putting the MLS number here. If you haven't entered it yet, simply put in TBD, to be determined. The first required field is the street number, direction, street name. If it's a condo, you probably want to put the unit number in to identify it, and the zip code. Once you enter the zip code, the city, state, and county information will automatically be filled in for you. The next required field is type. New means a new construction, new build, not new listing. Could be a new construction, resale home, a lot, a lease, or commercial lease. We're going to say this is a resale property. Notice you're automatically filled in as the listing agent. If you do have an assistant or a transaction coordinator, you want them to actually create this file, and they can come in and identify you as the listing agent. If your TC or assistant creates the file, you will both have access to it to manage it and upload the documents that you need. The next required field is the list price, year built, and the source of this client. The company is not using this source information, but it's actually a great field for you to use to identify where your business is coming from. The next required field is the listing commission, the buy-side commission, the list date, and the expiration date. Down below, you do have an option to identify any agent that referred this client to you, although it's not required. When you've completed the required fields, you can simply click Next, and Skylope will ask you to identify the seller. Notice there's only one box for a seller name. The seller's name is the only required information, but we do recommend that you also put in their email address. That will make it easier for you if you want to email this client from within Skylope. Once you save that seller's information, you do have an option to add an additional seller. Once all of your seller information is entered, you can come up here and click Submit. And you've basically created your cover sheet, and the system will take you to the checklist portion of this file. This is the main portion of any listing file where you will be uploading the documents that are required for this listing. You'll notice that all of the documents that are required are highlighted in red and say required. There is a long list of additional documents that you may need for this particular listing. They all say if applicable, meaning that at this point the company hasn't required those. But these 4 are always required on a listing. Once you have a checklist created, you need to upload the documents. There are several ways to do that. One of the easiest ways is to use the Attach button to the right of that document name to locate that document on your hard drive. You can simply browse your hard drive, find the file in the folder where you stored it, highlight it. The system will make a copy of that document, and you can upload it to that specific location. Once you've uploaded the document, notice that your status box is now changed to yellow, and the paperclip icon indicates for you that there is a document loaded in that location. Once the status changes to yellow, that document has been sent to the broker for review. If you want to double check and make sure you uploaded the correct document, you can hover your cursor over the paperclip icon and it will open a preview window for you. A side note, this will not work if you are using an Apple product because it does use a flash player. However, you can always click on the paperclip and that will open the entire document for you in a separate window. Skylope does work in both the PC and Apple worlds. So we attached a document from our hard drive. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, quite often we have documents that are combined into one PDF file, and we can't upload that to a specific document location. Skylope handles that by having created a document folder for each listing and each closing file that allows you to upload that combined document from your hard drive into the document folder. It will make a copy from your hard drive, allow you to upload it, and now we can choose that document, come over here to the right and click on the split button. This will give us a new window. On the right hand side, it will show us all the pages in that combined document that we just uploaded. It tells us that we're on page 1 of 17 pages. We have the option to scroll through the document, zoom in or zoom out, or we can actually use the up arrow button to create a new window and look at the document in a larger size. From this window on the left-hand screen, we need to identify which documents we need to load to which particular locations on our checklist. So the first page of our document is our real estate agency disclosure. We can simply start typing in any part of the name of that document, and the system will show us which checklist items might match. In this case, it popped up the agency. And we need to tell Skylope how many pages need to be placed in that agency disclosure location. In this case, it's just one, so it's from page 1 to page 1. We can move on to page 2, which is our exclusive right to sell. We can start typing in any part of that name, and the system will identify what locations on our checklist might match. In this case, it brought up our exclusive right to sell, and we see that it starts on page 2. We can scroll through and find that it ends on page 7, so we can tell Skylope to upload pages 2 through 7 to the ER location. Our next page is our MLS printout, and that is comprised of 2 pages, so page 8 to 9. Starting on page 10 is our profile sheet. And that runs through page 15. And then our last 2 pages are our tax record. If you recall, the tax record was not a required document. You can still upload documents to any of those, if applicable, locations. Once we're through separating out our combined document into its individual components, we can simply click on Split and Assign. The system will tell you that your documents were split, and take you back to your checklist. Notice that all of those document locations now are changed to yellow and say in review. They have the documents attached and they've been sent to the broker for review. And you can still hover over the paperclip icon to get a preview and make sure you uploaded the correct document to that location. It may take a minute, but it will appear, and you can see that we did upload the MLS printout to the correct location. If you make a mistake, you can go attach another document to this location simply by clicking attach again and selecting the correct document. Both documents will remain in that location. However, the broker will look at the most recent one that's been uploaded. That's how you create a new listing file. Anytime you want to go back to your dashboard, you can simply go up to the upper right and click Home. Once you've created listings, you probably want to manage them. Let's go to the Manage Listings button. You'll notice we have numerous listings shown here. You can scroll through these listings to find the one that you want to work on right now, or you can come to the search bar and start typing in any part of the address. The system will display any of your listings that contain those letters, and you can simply highlight the correct one and click the search button. It will bring that listing up, and you can double click on it to open it, go to your checklist, and upload additional documents that you might need. The Manage Listings button is also where you would convert a listing to a sale. In Skylope, when you have an accepted contract on a listing, you don't go in and create a separate closing file. You actually locate the listing portion, highlight it in your Manage Listings function, and click Accepted Contract. In your Manage Listings function, you can also withdraw or cancel a listing. When you click on Withdraw Listing, the system will ask you why you're withdrawing this listing. It may be because it's expired. It may be because the seller opted to cancel the listing. He doesn't want to sell anymore. Whatever the reason, just type it in, click Submit, and the listing will be canceled for you and will no longer show up in your list of active listings. But we're going to go ahead and say we got an accepted offer on this property. If we click the Accepted Contract button, the system will take us back to our checklist. To our worksheet. Notice that all of the listing information is already filled in for you. Now we just need to add the closing information. This is a property. We already had the source filled out. We need to input our closing date, our sale price, the date the contract was accepted, and click Next. I intentionally didn't put in the checklist type to show you that if you forget to fill out one of the required fields, the system will notify you up here in the upper left-hand corner, and it will highlight the field that's missing. Checklist type is one of the most important fields on the transaction record. Please be very careful in selecting the correct checklist. This is going to identify what documents you're going to need for this particular closing. If you select the wrong checklist, you're going to get the wrong list of documents. You might start uploading documents, and when the file is reviewed, we'll discover that the wrong checklist has been attached to this transaction, and we will have to delete it, create a new checklist for that transaction, and all the documents will have to be uploaded again. This list of checklist types is in alphabetical order, with traditional sale being on the bottom. That is what most of our transactions are. So you can select that, click Next, and you'll be asked once again to verify the seller's information. If nothing needs to be changed, simply click Next, and you'll be requested to enter buyer information. Once again, the buyer's first and last name are all that are required. Once you click Save for the first buyer, you will have the option to add a second, third, or fourth buyer as needed. When you're done adding your buyers, simply click Next, and the system will ask you to enter the title company information. You'll notice there are 3 boxes here: title company, escrow company, and attorney. In Arizona, our title and escrow is combined, so you can just use the title company information. You need the email address of your escrow officer. If you've used that escrow officer before, that information was stored in the system. Once you start typing it in, the system will pull it up for you. You can enter the title company name, save that information, and click Next. Now you need to enter the buyer's information. Their name, phone number, and their company name are all required. Save that information. You have an option over here to enter lender information and home warranty information. None of that is required. You can certainly enter it if you choose. We're simply going to click Submit. Our sale price, listing, and sale information is displayed for us to review. We can enter other information as we choose. Simply click Next, and a detailed property information page will be displayed. You're certainly welcome to enter all of this information for your future reference, but none of it is required. We can simply click Submit when we're done. And now we're taken to the checklist for the closing side of this transaction. The documents that are required at a minimum for this closing are highlighted in red. If you scroll down, you'll notice that in the center there's a closing document section where you can upload your commission worksheet. The staff will upload the final HUD-1 and commission checks for you. And at the bottom is all of your listing information and your listing documents. So everything's contained in a single file. When we entered the listing, we attached a document that was just the ER, and we uploaded a combined file into our Documents section and split it out. There is a third way to get documents into this transaction. Since you were the listing agent, let's assume that the buyer's agent emailed you the signed documents and you received them in your Gmail account. You'll notice up here in the upper right-hand corner that every transaction is actually given its own unique email address. If you note this, you can take the email that you received from that buyer's agent and forward it to this email address. Once you forward that email with the attached PDF, that PDF file will be loaded into the Documents folder for this specific transaction. You can click on the Documents tab, come in, and split that document into its separate components. It's a very handy and convenient way to get those multi-form documents into your transaction. So let's go ahead and review uploading an individual document into the specific location where it needs to go. We just go locate it, find it on our hard drive. The system will make a copy, and we just click Start Upload, and the document's placed in that location. We can hover over the paperclip icon and get a preview to make sure we uploaded the correct document. We can also go to our document folder and either email a combined file using this email address. We can also upload a combined document by clicking the Upload Document tab, searching our hard drive, uploading the combined file, and then going through the split process to separate that combined file into its individual components by clicking Split. Find the location on the checklist where it needs to be placed. Scrolling through and finding the first and last page of this particular document. Notice in this particular case that we have multiple counteroffers. We can upload all of those at the same time to the counteroffer location. So we're starting at page 10 through page 13 are our counteroffers. Page 14 is our HOA addendum. And we're done. We can go ahead and say split and assign. And all of those items have been split out to the correct location on our checklist. And they're all in review, meaning they've been sent to the broker for review. Once the broker has reviewed an item, if it's accepted because it's complete, this box will change to green and it will say complete. If there was something missing from that document, perhaps a signature or an initial, this box will change to purple and say incomplete. If it says incomplete, there will most likely be a comment from the broker telling you what's needed. One of the really nice parts about Skylope is that you can also send a message to the broker. Let's say that this property was not in MLS. The MLS printout is a required field. You can send the broker a message saying this wasn't in MLS. When the broker receives that message, he or she will change that field to not required. So it's an easy way to send messages back and forth about this particular transaction. So to quickly review, you can attach an individual file that you have stored on your hard drive. You can go to the Documents section and split a document that you had on your hard drive, or you can email documents into your document section by emailing them to the specific property address. Let's go back to our dashboard. So we created a listing and we uploaded documents. We managed the listing both to check its status, upload additional documents, and then converted it from a listing to a sale. And we can use pending transactions to manage the closing side. So here's our file. Once again, we have a list of all of our closings, and we can start typing any part of the address in the search box, if we have quite a few, to find the particular file that we want. We can double click on the file name to open it, go to our checklist, and add additional documents, take a look at the messages the broker may have left us, see what still needs to be done. All of which is great when it was our listing. But if you're working with a buyer, you have no listing to convert. In that case, you want to use the Create Transaction button to create just the closing side of the transaction. It works exactly the same way. You'll get a worksheet to complete, selecting the correct checklist. In this case, we're going to say it's a short sale. Enter our MLS number, year built, etc. The type of closing is going to be a sale. It wasn't your listing. It's not a dual agency. It's just a sale. It's a property. In this case, we didn't have a listing source, so we're going to select the source of this buyer. This was not an office lead. You can always say no to office lead. Keep in mind this is a national system, and there are brokerages that charge their agents for office leads. We do not, so you can always say no in that field. Select your closing date, your sale price, the date the contract was accepted, seller's name, the buyer's name, the title company, now you need to identify the listing agent in this case, along with the listing agent's phone number and their co-broke company. Submit all of that information from your worksheet, and the system will then ask you for your commission based on what was in MLS, your general property information if you choose to enter that, and your checklist will be created for the buy side transaction. Notice because we selected the short sale checklist, we now actually have a different checklist that's asking for a short sale addendum and short sale lender approval that didn't appear at all on our traditional sale checklist. Upload your documents in one of the 3 ways that we've already gone through, and your transaction will proceed to close. So we've created and managed a listing, created a buy-side transaction, managed our transactions. We also have a button that will allow us to identify which listings or transactions still have required documents that need to be uploaded. So in this case, for our Highland Avenue that we just entered because we represent the buyer, we have 11 documents that still need to be uploaded. In the case of our Ocotillo listing, we only have 3 incomplete items. You can navigate to any of these listings or closings, double-click, and it will open the checklist for you, and you can see what you're still missing. This is a great example. Notice the ER says incomplete. The broker sent you a message saying you need to sign the last page. You can do that. You can upload the corrected version by simply clicking attach, and that will change once again to in review and go back to the broker for further review. That's a very handy button to manage all of your listings and closings. The Canceled Contracts button allows you to see any listings that you withdrew or any transactions that were canceled. Canceling a transaction is very similar to canceling a listing. You simply click on the Cancel Transaction button. It asks you why the transaction is being canceled and proceeds to cancel that transaction. Let's go ahead and do that by going to Pending Transactions. We'll go to the Highland Avenue transaction that we just created. And notice up here we have a Cancel Transaction button. If we click on that, it asks us for a reason. Maybe the buyer canceled this on the Binzer. Submit that reason, and our transaction is now gone. There's another one that I canceled. It's now gone. If we click on the canceled transactions, you'll notice they show up here. If that transaction had been tied to a listing, we would have been asked if we wanted to reactivate the listing side. You can also see I have one here that's giving me a button that says reactivate this listing. If I do that, it's going to ask me why, and it'll go ahead and reactivate the listing side of that transaction. The next button is the Access Archives button. Once your transaction has closed escrow and you've received your commission check, the staff will go ahead and archive that file so it doesn't continue to show up on your list of active files. But you always have the option to access those archived files by clicking the Access Archive button. The next button is the Reminders button, which allows you to set reminders for yourself or for someone else that is part of a particular transaction. You can come in and create a new reminder, remind yourself, or remind someone else. In this case, we're going to remind someone else. And let's say this is going to be the buyer's agent on your listing. Just simply type in their email address, set a date when you want them to be reminded, the time that you'd like the reminder notice to go out, and type in what this reminder is about. Save, and that reminder will be emailed to that agent at the date and the time that you specified. Oops, I didn't enter the property information. So here we go. Let's pick the property, click Save. Don't know why it's getting an error. But you get the idea. Probably because that email address was not attached to that particular transaction. Now we're going to talk about the last two buttons on the dashboard, which are tied together, the Working Documents section and the DigiSign buttons. DigiSign is an electronic signature program that works within Skylope. Quite often we use zip forms to complete documents, and for those of you that use DocuSign or eSign, you know that you can send those documents through those programs directly from zip forms. DocuSign is a paid application. For those of you that don't want to pay for an application, you may want to consider using DigiSign. What you can do is from zip forms, you can email all of those documents that you filled out into your Working Documents section. You do that by using your personal email address within Skylope, which you can find in your My Skylope personal section. Here it is. In this case, if I want to email into my Working Documents section, which is a general folder that isn't specific to any particular transaction, I can email to this particular email address. I can access it by clicking my Working Documents section and finding the file that I emailed to myself. Maybe it was this listing profile sheet, and I want to send that off to my seller for signature. I can check the box next to it, come up and click DigiSign. That will open the DigiSign application and walk me through a process that's very similar to DocuSign for those of you that use DocuSign. This will be sent as an email, so you want to type a subject. You can enter the body of an email. You can set reminders for the person that you're sending this to. In the event that they don't sign it today, you can send them a reminder tomorrow that they need to sign it. Once you've set up the email, you can click Continue. And now you need to identify the documents that are going to be sent for signature. Notice the one that we selected out of our Working Documents section is already here. We can also add additional documents, perhaps from our hard drive, by coming up here and clicking Browse, browsing our hard drive, and selecting another document. Skylope will upload that document and add it to the list. Over here we can actually change the order that the documents will appear to the recipient of this email. So we can move the ER down or we can move it back up again. Once we're done adding all of our documents, we can click Continue. And now we have to identify our recipients. We need to put in their email address, their name, you notice my name popped in because the system has a record of me already in the system. Now we can go enter a new recipient. And notice Casey's name was plugged in. But notice my name disappeared down here because I didn't click new recipient to add a second person. I just wiped out the first person. So let's go add me back in. And there I am. Notice that there's an order function here. And down here it shows that Casey is going to be the first person to get this email. Once she has signed everything, I will receive the email. But you may want multiple people to sign at the same time. You can simply change the order by typing the correct number in this box. Now Casey and I will both receive the email at the same time. Once these two people have signed, the document that comes back to you will be combined with both of their signatures on it. You also have the option to send the signed document to someone who's not a signer. You just want them to receive a copy. Instead of being a signer, they can receive a certified copy by changing the type here. Once you're done adding all of your signers and anyone you want to receive a signed copy, you can simply click Continue. And DigiSign will ask you where these individuals need to sign these documents. You'll notice that in the upper right-hand corner you have a list of the recipients who need to sign. One of those names will be highlighted, and you will drag and drop where you want signatures to appear on these documents. You have signatures, initials. You can drag and drop a field for the date that that signature was placed on the document. So let's go ahead and say Casey needs to initial here. If Sheila also needs to initial there, you can simply highlight her and place another initial box. The DigiSign box is there, it's just hiding. Okay. Scroll down to the next page. We'll have Casey initial by dragging and dropping. We'll have Sheila initial by dragging and dropping. You go through all your documents for initials and signatures. Let's plug a signature in here. This requires a date as well, so we can click, hold, drag, and drop. And now when this person signs, the date that they signed will automatically be plugged in there. Once you're done dragging and dropping all the signatures, simply click Continue. The system will give you a quick review function showing you the documents, who's going to receive those. If everything looks correct, simply click Send. Those documents will be sent to those individuals for signature. And when they're done signing, those documents will be returned to your working documents section. You can then split the documents apart and assign them to the specific transaction where those individual documents need to be placed. And that concludes our tutorial of Skylope. Thank you very much for your kind attention. If you are new with us and you're completing this for the first time and completing your orientation sheet, next to your Skylope tutorial entry, please write, "Thanks, it was great." We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.